Hello and welcome to the Nope Coach podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Culberg. This is episode 250, Redefining Failure. So what is it today? I'm having a look. It's the 5th of January. I was going to sneakily or maybe snarkily say, how are those New Year's resolutions going? Because often this is the time where it's like, oh, I failed. Not quite a week into the new year and we can be feeling like the slump already. What I really want to chat about today or invite you to think about today is, how do you tell the story? I failed is 2 words, simple, that's it, done. Or is it that I tried something and it didn't turn out how I hoped, and now I'm going to try something else? One of them is expansive and curious and open to opportunity. And one of them is like, oh, when I was a kid, there was a TV show. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember that there's this character called Sad Sack. If anyone is familiar with the show, I suppose I could go Google it. Maybe I will after this. But I was thinking about it yesterday because one of my kids was trying to do something, it wasn't working. And I mentioned Sad Sack and they gave me the look like, what? But, in this show, the character Sad Sack basically just walked around. His name said it all. And you just got this whole energy of like, oh, I failed. Why bother? I suck at life. And there are so many things that, technically, if we were to look at it about the way that I'd hoped it would work out, I failed miserably. But I don't label it as that. It's like I found a way not to do it. I tried something, it didn't work out. So I'm trying something else. There's always feedback. And there's that quote from, Thomas Edison, who took like 10,000 times to make the light bulb. And he's like, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work. Sometimes in our failure, something new entirely is created. Apparently, I don't know how legit this is because I've never, researched it to back it up. But I remember hearing once that the person who invented the sticky note, and I am the queen of sticky notes, I have them everywhere, was actually trying to create some form of super glue, which failed. And as a result, now we have the sticky note, which is in and of itself a giant success. And you might be listening to this and thinking, well, yeah, that's great for him. He became a multimillionaire on the sticky note. But what about things that, that really didn't work? Who did you become along the way? What did you learn that was different from what you hoped? Like, there are things that we do in life, in business. We see somebody have a result. Like, you might see somebody and they go to speed dating and have found the one, or they've, swiped left or right or whichever way it is and have found the one. So we go to speed dating, or we get the app and start swiping and we don't have the results. We're like, oh, I'm a failure. But perhaps that wasn't the way that you were supposed to do it. The same as in business. It's funny. I don't know how many times I see people, they say, just run a webinar and all these clients will sign up. And I've run, I don't know how many webinars. And technically, my webinars have failed. But then again, just because you don't get the result instantly, sometimes the timeline is a bit longer. So say, for example, you do go to a speed dating and, you meet some people and you become friends, and then they introduce you. So you meet your partner down the line. Technically, that was related to that initial speed dating, but because you didn't get the person immediately like your friend did, you count it as a failure. If you run a webinar in business and nobody signs up instantly, but people are in your orbit and they become aware of you and they tell friends, and those friends down the line later sign up to work with you, that still was the result of that initial action. The action wasn't a failure. And I use this example commonly. Can't remember if I've done a podcast about it, but it's so pertinent. If you go to the store and buy a bag of popcorn and it says on the packet, it's going to take 2 minutes in the microwave, and you put your bag of popcorn in the microwave and you turn on the 2-minute timer and you hit start and you're waiting and you're waiting. Like, that 2 minutes is like the longest 2 minutes in the world, especially when you have young children standing at your feet going, Mummy, Mummy, when's the popcorn? I'm hungry. And, you're a minute in, nothing. You're a minute 30 in, nothing. You're a minute 45 in and you're like, I must have bought a bung bag of popcorn. Like, trust me to get the bag of popcorn that's expired or doesn't work, or my microwave's, you're really second guessing this thing. And then like at a minute 53 with like 7 seconds to go, pop, 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 pop. It's like, a party's going on in the microwave and suddenly you have all this popcorn. So another way of redefining failure is just because you didn't get instant results doesn't mean that if you just be a bit patient, and I love talking about patience because I'm the most impatient person I know, but the results are still coming. Where we get thrown is sometimes there is an errant pop at the 1 minute mark or the 1 minute 10 mark. And then we want to be that. So if your friend downloaded an app, swiped right or left, as I said, I don't know because I've haven't used the apps, met my husband before internet dating. Well, I don't know if there would have been internet dating, but anyway, I digress. And then you do that and you don't find the person straight away. Perhaps your friend was the errant pop in the microwave. If you run a webinar because your friend ran a webinar and they got 10 sales, perhaps they're the early one. You keeping going, you keep showing up, you keep doing the thing. It could become a success if you're patient. As I said, I laugh when I say patience because I'm the most impatient person I know, and give yourself a bit of time. Or you might decide, the apps aren't for me. I don't like it. I prefer to meet people in person. Or webinars aren't for me. I don't like delivering in that way. You haven't failed if you've got the feedback that this method, this thing that I tried, isn't for me. Instead of saying, oh, I failed, I tried something, it didn't turn out how I hoped, so now I'm going to try something else. Like, if you look at young children, like my son in particular, he's such a problem solver. I love it. He's on the spectrum. He, technically struggles with the traditional schooling and the way that things are taught. And there are such rigid standards. Like, so many times, technically he's failed. He gets marked wrong on things. I remember he wasn't able to write numbers, letters. He wasn't able to write. And the teacher gave them a sheet and they had to write how old they were. And he couldn't write 5. So he drew 5 circles because he could count and he knew how old he was. Well, technically that's wrong because he needed to draw a 5 to pass. But whose standards are we looking at it for? Like, redefining failure. If you need to get from point A to point B and the most direct path is this, and that's the one that school's going to give you the tick for, like, how old are you? 5. I want to see the number 5. But actually you can get there by going here, 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 and here. That's not a failure. Him drawing 5 circles is not wrong. He was 5. He just displayed it in a different way. So sometimes when we hold ourselves in such rigid standards, we were like, I wanted it to be this way, and I have this, and it looks different to how it looks for them, so I have failed. It's like, really? Or did you just find your own way to do it? And it's different for you? And which do you actually prefer better? Because there's always more options than the most obvious ones. Otherwise, we wouldn't have new technologies and new iterations and new things like the sticky note, which came from someone who technically failed in making super glue. Or, if Thomas Edison hadn't, somebody else probably would have made a light bulb by now, but, the people who buck the norm, buck the trend, keep going, show that grit and resiliency in the face of people going, ha ha, you're doing it wrong, and just keep showing up. It's like, yeah, no, how do you want to tell the story? Do you want to say, I tried and I failed and I suck at life and, go and just give up, the sad sack? Or do you want to be like, I tried, it did turn out how I hoped, but I learned so much and now I'm trying something else, or now I'm trying again. That's what I want to leave you with today. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for those who are sending reviews. I got one yesterday. It warms my heart. It means so much to me. I know sometimes when you're listening to things, you can think, oh, they don't need a review. They've got so many, or what would my message or whatever count? It means so much. When you are creating, when you're putting things out there, often you feel like you're shouting into the void. So if you are enjoying the show, I encourage you to leave a review. Or the other thing you can do is you can make a donation. So if you're watching this on YouTube, underneath in the video description, the link there, the PayPal link, if you go to my website, suzanneculberg.com, click on resources, there's a bunch of other resources there too, but one of them is make a donation. it means so much. And it's not the amount, it's never the amount. It's just, the recognition that, this stuff is landing and you're resonating with it. I so appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Hope to catch you on the next one. Bye for now.